Yeah. Oh, sweet. What do you got?
I think it's a big sandwich.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yes, now it says the right
Right. We will return to open session. David, are you recording us?
Yeah, we're recording. You can begin.
Okay, thank you. Okay, return to open session, announcement of action taken in closed session. Okay, new hires, sophomore class advisor stipend, zero Soho, Hoopa High, instructional assistant special needs classified, Zachary Pot, Hoopa L, 7th grade girls basketball stipend, Cherie Hostler, Trinity Valley, 8th grade girls basketball stipend, Sherry Hostler, Trinity Valley, varsity softball coach, Colgrove, new hire, Hoopa High. 8th grade girls basketball stipend, Aaron Smith, Hoopa L. Junior varsity girls basketball stipend, Rodney Robbins, Hoopa High. Junior varsity boys basketball stipend, Lyle Blaine McKinnon, Hoopa High. Varsity boys basketball stipend, Roman Hunt, Hoopa High. Wrestling coach stipend, Morick Robbins, Hoopa High. Cheerleading coach stipend, Missy Sherrill, Hoopa High. Academic support coach 1 classified, Aaron Smith, transferred, Hoopa L. School computer technician classified, Haley Aubrey, transferred to Hoopa High. Kuruk language instructor classified, resignation, Orleans. Junior class advisor stipend, resignation, Hoopa High. Indian education and native languages director, classified management, retirement, district-wide. Okay. Public comment on agenda items. I did receive one here on a non-agenda. However, we already did that before we went into closed session. So is it an agenda item?
No, I just wanted an update on something I presented at the last meeting.
Okay, you can get that from the superintendent meeting after the meeting. Okay, consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with 6Q being separate. We'll address that separately. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Rob Wild moves. Is there a second? Martha seconds. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Unanimous consent agenda approved. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the approval of Orleans Elementary School plan for student achievement. Is that what we're
We're all glaring.
Okay. The reason we pulled it is that there was some updates edited, and everyone got an edited copy right before the meeting. Anyway, so that's why it was separate. So I will. Rob and Archie. Any discussion, further discussion?
I thought it was a very well written and well thought out document.
Okay.
I just wanted to note that the changes were all pretty much clarifications, language based. There's nothing really substantive, and it was just they were improvements. And now everybody can glare at Karen. But I just also want to let the board know that the principals have been working on this kind of catch-up schedule because the sixes have historically been approved pretty late, and we have our series of pandemic related delays. And I know that all of the site councils have been voted in on the council and have started their preliminary meetings. So we should see the rest of the sixes in December. This year's money, but the other piece of this that was an adjustment I know that in Orleans they had to do was because the SIPSs follow under the umbrella of the LCAP goals. There was some definite rewriting and reconfiguring and putting things that are specific for Orleans into the new design of the LCAP. So thanks for having this in.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Unanimous, it is approved. Okay, we go into number 7. We do not have action items. 8, Superintendent's Board Report.
So the main part of my report is under the governance and administration and having to do with our financial situation with our general obligation bond refinancing. So I don't have a written report for you, and I have a couple of things that I just got from Eastern Consulting and from Rosanna Smith. Army and I attended a number of meetings over the past month that were setting the rates, the interest rates for the bond refinancing. It was that, based on the presentation that Shin gave September board meeting. I do want to read a communication that he drafted for us. So on the morning of Monday, October 25th, the interest rates for the 2021 general obligation or GO bond were set during a pricing process that resulted in the refinancing of portions of 3 prior GO bond series. The 2021 GO refunding bonds are scheduled to close tomorrow morning, and at that time the refunding will be concluded. The original principal amount of the refunded prior GO bonds was $5.35 million, which included capital appreciation bonds, and today's totals of $5.84 million, including accredited interest on the capital appreciation bonds. At tomorrow's closing, the underwriter will wire the funds to the GO bond paying agent, which is the Bank of New York Mellon, to set aside for repayment and cancellation of the refunded general obligation bonds. The 2021 GO refunding bonds were issued in 4 series to match with the components of the bonds being refunded, and ultimately will reduce the total interest expense on the refunded GO bonds by $946,665.62 through 2046. Due to the timing of the GO refunding occurring after the preparation of the 2021 property tax bills, the impact of these reductions will be first seen on the tax bills for 2022-23. The 2021 GO refunding bonds true interest cost is 3.258%, and the savings on a net present value basis were 9.6% of the principal amount refunded. The total principal amount on the 2021 GO refunding bonds is $7.09 million, of which $6.8 million is being applied to repay prior GO bonds and $231,000 in total issuance cost, including the underwriter bank compensation and bond insurance premiums. Shin Green of East Shore Consulting, financial advisor to the district, will prepare a full wrap-up presentation to the board at the December meeting. And I will email this communication to you because there were a lot of numbers in there, but it took a really long time to kind of get to the perfect time when the rates were set. Shin was really hoping that the overall refinancing would save us $1 million. We got really close with $9,500,000. And that will go back to taxpayers. And we have that obligation to spend our money wisely and save money when we can. So I'll send this out so that you can actually see it and read it. And but we're just about to the end. Then this afternoon, I received from Lozano Smith. We're pleased to announce we've received into escrow at our office all the documents required for tomorrow's closing. So this was a drive the documents to town and get them FedEx overnight. It's a very quick turnaround with the general obligation refunding. So I'll have more for you probably next week in terms of what that looks like. And then we will move into the discussion about moving from the general obligation bonds into now tackling the certificate of participation, which will, our end game is this is all tied into having that funding for the CTE tech building. It's just all the preliminary, not exactly really exciting work, but I mean, it's exciting in terms of some money savings. Do you have anything to add to that part of it, or does that
I don't have anything to add to the part of the CTE building that GSA did reopen our original plans, and so we are still moving forward. And I can do an update at the next meeting as to how far we're in. And we'll meet every Tuesday. So this bonding, we have a discussion today at today's meeting, and so that's helping us move forward. We're going to have some proposed bids brought to you probably at the January meeting, so we can start breaking ground on that.
So
In that building.
I'm not literally breaking ground. Yeah. So other student services, I mean, that's clearly the objective is securing the financing to move to provide something that we all are really desperately wanting to have for our students, and that is a direct student service. Another update with student services is the wellness truancy court and the KT attendance team met last week. We had Judge Polgrove, Judge Ferris, our medical staff, and somebody from the wellness court. Somebody's called their position is the wellness court coordinator. There was another, was it a wellness court meeting? There was a couple different meetings with the resident attendance team meeting today.
So the group that met today was the Tribal Wellness Court group. And they are looking at attendance so they can develop preventions and early interventions that are kind of outside of what the school offers to work with students that are on the Cooper roll. That's the targeted area that they're working on.
I received a communication that the State Board of Education has approved a new LCAP template. I have not looked at it. I would imagine it is not drastically different because we are in the middle of a 3-year cycle. So I may be for only adding on supplemental. So I just got that communication right before the board meeting. I think that they worked real hard to get a streamlined template, so I can't imagine it's going to be radically different. I do want to remind everyone that information about our school district can be found on the California Schools dashboard. You really could just look that up, and then you can look at the district, you can look at different school sites. It includes academic information, attendance information, suspension, school climate related information. And health and safety. Since the beginning of the school year, we have tested 35 individuals who tested positive through our school testing program, for COVID testing program. Some of those cases were not students or staff. We kind of extended some of that to some family members. That's not the majority. Most of this was students and staff. We've had no positive cases in the past week. Previous week we had one, so we're seeing that our numbers are low. So I want to thank everybody who is testing, who is consenting to have their children tested. We would really want to have permission to test students, especially when we come back from holiday breaks where we know people are tending to travel or commingle. So we'll get communications out again about how to sign up for the testing. I've had a couple of, onto community relations. I've continued to have coffee with the superintendent. We started here. We had a couple of people that showed up. I went to Witchpeck, Jack Norton, and Orleans. And I think I have to reschedule one at Trinity Valley because it conflicted with, it was back to school night. And I thought, I can't compete with back to school night. I knew that's where, parents who aren't going to go twice in a day, we're going to definitely attend for back to school night. And for labor relations, Ktjusd and KTT have come to the close of bargaining for articles in the collective bargaining agreement for the 2021 and 2022 school year. The articles were just approved by the board through the consent agenda. We do not currently have a signed MOU regarding independent study, but there's a lot of agreement as to the sections. We're just trying to finish that up. And then Ktjusd and CSEA came to an agreement on the TPP workability position and health and welfare benefits for the 21-22 school year. That was also approved in the consent agenda. So negotiations for collective bargaining agreements are closed for both units. And the establishment of the COVID testing and tracking lead, which the board had approved, it has since been ratified. So we're squared up and everything has been agreed to by both parties with the COVID testing and then the tentative agreements that were outlined. So that is that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, next correspondence. I believe we all received, or I received, and it's in the packet, the Williams letter from the county office, Chris Hartley, regarding, you want to go ahead and talk about it?
Thank you. So, would you like me to read it or just kind of an overview?
Just overview.
Okay. So sometimes we talk about which are our Williams schools, but all of our schools are, are required to provide information about the status of the facilities and instructional materials. And this was, I think the letter was probably from Janice Lorenzo. It's from Chris Hartley. He sends a proxy, which is Janice Lorenzo, who works in the department that helps support our schools with compliance and educational services. So the purpose of the visit is to determine if students have sufficient standards aligned instructional materials, determine if there is any facility condition that poses an emergency or urgent threat to the health or safety of pupils and staff, and to determine if the school has provided accurate data on the annual school accountability report card related to the sufficiency of materials and the safety, cleanliness, and adequacy of school facilities, including good repair. So every quarter, we provide data back to the County Office of Education, which lets them know if we've received any complaints of violations of Williams reports. So it's on the consent agenda. It's the quarterly report. In this letter, he talks about basic terms, sufficiency of materials. Basically looking at, we know Missy does her walkthroughs with the FIT, facilities inspection tool, which is a rubric. So it's looking at, are there severely deficient areas that are in need of repair? I know that with, so they're basically for each school site, he went through and said, we have sufficient materials. There are details about facilities needs. So overall, our schools are in either good or exemplary for these 3 sites that we'll walk through. I know that one issue that the principals have been discussing with support from Janice is making sure that we have the school accountability report card finished and then posted to the website. So those school accountability report cards, we were promised once that they would go away because the LCAP kind of, captures some of that data, but they are still something that we have to have. They're always posted for the prior year. So that was one thing that I don't see that he wrote up about that, those not being posted to the website, but that again is something we've been a little bit historically behind, and we're inching forward and getting those done in a more timely manner. The school accountability report card will provide information about test scores. It does have the facilities information, a lot of demographic information about each school.
Any questions?
So why, so they only do Hoopa High, Hoopa L, and Trinity Valley?
So, for the walkthroughs.
Okay.
And that's kind of like the double check, but all of our schools are required to have the same standards, and that's what that quarterly report is about. And I remember when I was teaching at Hoopa L that they did the walkthroughs, and I don't know at what point, I don't know if the principals could address this, at what point a school no longer has to have that on-site walkthrough. If it's like a number of years, or is it just?
I don't know, but I was told that Trinity Valley does not have to have that for next year. I'm not sure why, I just know that I don't have to. So.
It's a period of time that is monitored. It's really the monitoring.
Something.
Every school is expected to have the same standard,
But we still have to have everything in place. We still have to have the books, and,
Well, I guess that's my question. Sufficiency of materials. Is that's not a problem anymore? We doing good with that? Okay.
Yeah. It's hard with some of our instructional materials because some of them are dated and publishers are not producing those. So people are literally going on to Amazon to find random books to make up the class set. It's not cheap to do things that way, and it's just kind of showing what are, for some of our subject areas. So we're hoping to do another curriculum adoption for this year so that we can have more contemporary materials.
Okay, so we'll move on. Discussion items, KTJUSD Board Governance Handbook. Our governance handbook we approved. We had the board had a workshop. Oh goodness, what was that, over a year ago now? December, and we worked on a number of items. And is everyone out? This went out in the agenda packet, so everyone's got it. I was the roles and responsibilities of the trustees. There's sustaining positive governance team culture, governance norms, what we agreed to. There's board protocols and board meetings and agendas. Public, which includes public comment, time limits. So we're trying to structure board business in a uniform practice. I did notice, well, one of the things too, board presentations and deliberations. I've been asked why we change things up, and one of the things about board presentation and deliberations, the governance team will strive for brevity in deliberations, keeping remarks brief and to the point so that all opinions can be expressed and meetings can be efficient. Addressing each agenda item, the board shall normally adhere to the following process. Staff presentation addressing questions from the board, staff members and employee groups when presenting items or updates to the board are to provide appropriate backup material for the board to review prior to the board meeting. And I think that's the one that people have had a hard time, especially our employee groups, they want to come and talk. But for us, I find for myself that it's easier to read a report, refer back to it after the meeting. I even refer back to them several months back. And if something's not in writing, sometimes it gets lost. And so it's really important from our perspective to keep things flowing, is to have that written reports. Something else I was finding, I think we need to update, but I had mine, oh, this is not the one I proved at home. No, so anybody else have any comments about the handbook? I think we do need to put it on the agenda for some specific changes, if I can find it. I can't find them at the moment. Too many papers. Oh, here we go. Anyway, I think we will need to bring it back to put it on a future agenda, and we'll be more precise with what changes we need to be updated in a. Okay,
I think that's what we did last time. There was one section that was unfinished. We just agendized that one section,
Yeah.
so we could target the language.
I know it's on page 15 here. The board commits to complete an annual evaluation of the superintendent. The board will set aside at least one special meeting in November for the purpose of completing. And when we did our contract, we changed the dates. And so we need to put this in line with what we did with the last contract. So we can go over that. Any other comments? I think it's wise that the board especially review this, especially on confidentiality and where our roles are. That we set policies and goals, and then the staff, the superintendent leads the staff in implementing all of those. So trying to get things more efficient in our area here. Any other comments on handbook? Educator effectiveness plan.
Well, I knew, okay, so this is another one of the, this is one-time funding, but it's spread over 5 years from the state of California. We did have an educator effectiveness plan, probably started in 15-16. There was a 3-year period. This is the next rendition of it. I knew that we would have to have a plan that was updated in December, and then I found out that we have to have 2 meetings where it's presented. So this is just the first draft to have a discussion. I'll bring it back to the board in December for approval. It's crafted in this way that there are specific areas that we can utilize to support staff development for all our employees. The one criterion is that they work directly with students or have interactions with students, which really we can find those supports for all of our students. As all budgets are, we had to kind of say, okay, we think this is how much this activity will cost. So the main folks who worked on this were Margot Robbins and myself. I sent out an email to staff saying, hey, if you have ideas of how you think you want us to implement some of the plans, let us know. And Margot and I looked at the plans for the different school levels, high school and our K-8 schools. And we know that our high school is really focused on school climate. We know that our K-8 schools currently are really focused on English language arts, reading development, and inclusive education, including looking at special education services. So we kind of split it that way for this current year. But we know that those are both services that all grade levels really can benefit from inclusive education for special education services. So that what we did this year, it was switched and said, we want all of our teachers to have access to professional development in these areas. Looking out 3 years, we entered, we tied money to, I think it was in area 7, instruction and education to support implementing effective language acquisition. So we, in our little narrative, tied this to native language supports for prospective teachers to attend community language classes, to be able to pay contracted services. We really thought that we need to really start thinking about how we are going to continue and enhance our native language supports for our high school students and hopefully elementary students. In a broad course of study, we are really required to start offering a second language to our students starting in grade 7. And that was definitely one of our deficiencies when we did the local indicators that I posted and we approved in June with the LPAC. I know that the way that this is written is talking about supporting English learners because this is a document for all of California. So California thinks about LA, San Diego, so they're thinking of students who are learning English, but then when we looked at it, we talked about bilingual, biliterate proficiency. So it fits our analysis in the way that we need to support native language development. The other planned activities are just professional supports for our staff if they would like to have a subscription to a particular professional journal or registration fees or membership fees for professional organizations. And then the other big piece of this was coaching. So we have coaching money in whether it's contracted services, we're doing things within our, for each of the different areas within our own staff. And what will happen is we will go through a year and I will bring this back to you with updates because it's a budget and we never are able to stick exactly to it, but we just calculated it out. And so Margot and Jacqueline brought this to the PD committee to get their input. I don't think that they had any recommendations other than adding in supports for mental health training. So it's just,
would this grant include like some of our stipended positions? I know we're doing what's it saying here, administration or certificated or classified, but what I'm specifically wondering is some of our stipended positions such as coaches, can they be included in professional development training?
yes. So it's not exclusive for teachers. And so classified staff that interact with pupils. So that would be perfect.
So this would be a spot where, or anybody who wants to coach can be trained in trauma-informed care, positive feedback for students, etc.
Yes.
I think that's a big line. That's a big area that we need.
Has that always been offered to them, or this is new?
Yeah, this is new.
New funding.
New funding. There was something like this. I think it was a 3-year program. I think it started in 2015, and districts had to develop plans to support training. So it's really good. It's about $400,000 over 5 years. So if we have 1 year where we have a lot of PD and support, they don't dictating it's this much per year. They said by the end of 5 years, have this, the plan implemented. So I can look at adding in positive behavior supports for coaches or any, or
Yeah, we have, especially with the COVID time and the mental health issues our students are going through. Coaches should be positive, giving positive feedback and not reaming students and further deteriorating their mental health. And also, I don't want to lose sight or track of our trauma-informed care issues. If there's more training in that area, we need to go to implementation. We need, so in that area, wherever it fits in.
area 4, strategies to implement social emotional learning, trauma-informed practices, suicide prevention, access to mental health services, and other approaches that improve
Right.
student well-being.
And I think coaches especially have such intimate contact and influence over the students that they could make a very positive impact in that area. Okay, any other comments on educator effectiveness? Any suggestions? Okay, we'll move on to reports and information. What is this, the handbook again?
Oh, that's just the excerpt from the handbook that just reiterates the asking for written reports.
Right, we did not receive, okay, so. And we have pulled the first reading board policy, risk management, transportation of students, that was pulled from the agenda. The board report, assistant superintendent, student services. We did receive a report for November and October, thank you. Indian Education Director's report, we did receive a written report. School site reports, we did receive a report from Captain John High School. Also Jack Norton, Wichita Elementary School, Cooper Valley Elementary School, Cooper Valley High School report, Orleans Board report. And we did receive Trinity Valley Elementary School Board report. And I'd like to commend all of the principals for submitting the report. It's very enlightening to see what is happening out in the sites. We don't always get that at our level. And so more students, what students are doing. Always a joy to read. And any other comments?
I just wanted to comment that I think Jen is including these reports in the newspaper weekly. I've been seeing those, and that's really nice too. Very nice to see.
And I did see them on the district website. And I think the more we can do to get information out and be more transparent with our community, the better. So, employee group reports, we did not receive a report from KTTA, nor did we receive a report from CSEA. Trustee area reports. Carrie, do you have anything?
I don't have anything this time.
Ktjusd?
I actually visited out a couple of times and I was really impressed with behavior. You know, when things get rainy, kids get naughty, but I think that the kids are did well. And I was also happy to see Aaron in the classroom doing his fully curriculum. And the kids are responding effectively to it. So I was really happy to see that.
Martha?
Well, I just want to say that I have 6 grandchildren in school. Every single classroom has one of my grandchildren. And they're very happy. They're very happy with the teachers. They're very happy with the field trips. They have just, this has been a really, well, except for that, a couple of weeks where they weren't school, but but they are loving school this year. Good job.
Debbie?
I visited Jack Norton Elementary School the day they had a Halloween party. When Umana showed up. And he- But the principal was all dressed up in the outfit. It was kind of scary. But the kids were all having a great, structured time, and everybody, seemed to be doing good. There's a few issues there that we've been talking about, but I think hopefully it's going to get cleared up. And I haven't been able to get to Witchpick yet, but I want to go to Witchpick, Orleans, and come over here to Hoop Elementary and high school, but hopefully in the next few months I come visit. Because I do care about all the schools and all the, kids and teachers and parents and everybody, and just want to feel that everybody's, doing the best that we can. And that's how I feel as a school board member. I felt kind of attacked a couple of times coming to school board meetings and just like thinking, wow, I've never been treated like that before and talked to like that. But hopefully it's going to get better, and we're going to get better as school board members. Me personally feeling that way. Yeah, so that's my.
Rob? It's back to me then. Okay. I'd like to say I am pleased with all of the employees of the district, actually. Coming back to school after having COVID, and I'm hearing a lot of positive things. I'm hearing kids being excited to be at school. And so again, that comes from the good work that administration, teachers, classified, right on down the line. So I know we have some rough spots, but I think those are being smoothed out. Also, I did host some two groups of students from the high school to pick huckleberries at my place. And that was interesting. So, but they were they're all calling me grandma. Yeah, so I enjoy that. I also enjoy reading on Facebook and also in the news about our sports teams. And I know that the kids are really excited to be back and have activities. So yeah, I want to commend teachers, staff, administrators, all of you for the time and commitment that you're doing to make positive things happen for our students. So thank you. Okay, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Debbie moves, Martha seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Unanimous motion is to adjourn is
You say hit the red button. Yeah. So hit the red button.